in a regulatory gray zone. Developers, entrepreneurs, and investors were left with uncertainty. They faced confusion in enforcement actions when, instead, the government should have been crafting clear rules of the road. Those hurdles drove innovation overseas, left Americans exposed, and made it harder for law enforcement to do their job. Today, we change that. The bill we are marking up achieves three simple goals. Number one, protecting consumers, keeping innovation here at home, and safeguarding U.S. national security. Those are not partisan goals. They are American priorities. Protecting consumers means making sure everyday people come first. It means clear disclosures, safeguards against fraud, and rules that keep markets open, fair, and efficient. It means that if someone in South Carolina invests in digital assets, they are protected by a framework with real, enforceable legal standards. This bill gives Americans confidence that the system works for them, not against them. Keeping innovation here at home means giving American builders, entrepreneurs, and businesses the clarity and certainty to do what they do best. Until today, outdated rules, unpredictable enforcement, and outright hostility have forced far too many American companies overseas. That cost us jobs, investment, and leadership. This bill says that the future of finance should be built in America, under American laws, and with American values. Safeguarding our national security means closing the doors that criminals, terrorists, and hostile regimes have tried to exploit. This bill strengthens anti-money laundering and sanctions rules and gives law enforcement better tools to go after bad actors. These tools make it harder to hide and easier to enforce the law. None of this happened overnight. It happened because members on both sides of the aisle chose to sit down, listen, and work. We've had months of good faith negotiations. Republicans did not get everything we wanted, but we made real progress with our Democrat colleagues. And this bill, and ultimately, and more importantly, the American people, will be better off because of it. This legislation does not take sides between traditional finance and new technology, or Republicans and Democrats. It takes the side of everyday Americans. It brings digital assets out of the shadows and into a system that is safer, fairer, and more transparent. This is what good governance looks like. Today, we take a step forward together to protect investors, grow our economy, and keep America leading the world. I'm proud of this committee for doing the work, and I look forward to moving this bill forward. I now recognize Ranking Member Warren for opening comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Right now, American families all across this country are struggling. The cost of groceries is up, the cost of utilities is up, the cost of health care is up. We could be working right now on changes in the law that would help bring down prices and help unrig our economy. You know, we could be working on capping credit card interest rates. Every day that we fail to deliver, families are charged an extra $368 million in interest. We could be preventing big banks from saddling customers with overdraft fees. Every year that we fail to deliver, families could be paying up to $5 billion a year that they otherwise would be able to keep. We could be stopping rampant fraud and theft on payment platforms. Our failure to deliver here means that Americans are paying hundreds of billions of dollars after getting tricked and trapped. But instead of that, we're spending our time working on a bill written by the crypto industry for the crypto industry. Nothing made it into this bill that wasn't approved by the crypto industry. And why? Why are we working on this? According to a survey by crypto news outlet CoinDesk, quote, crypto is at the bottom of U.S. voters' priority heading into elections. Just 1% of respondents rank crypto as their top concern. Look, our job is to serve the American people. Our job is not to advance a pro-industry crypto bill that will put American consumers, American investors, and our national security and our financial system at risk. Our job is not to advance a pro-industry crypto bill that will grease the skids for the President of the United States crypto grift while tens of millions of Americans can't afford the basics. Many members of this committee have underscored the importance of getting this bill right. And despite multiple calls for a public hearing on this bill, calls from Senator Reid, Senator Kennedy, Senator Van Hollen, Senator Smith, we have never had a single hearing on this bill. And today, Mr. Chairman, you are shutting down members of this committee who have amendments to strengthen this bill. You ruled out more than a dozen amendments because of, quote, procedural requirements. And take a look at what got ruled out. This includes a fix requested by the National Sheriff's Association to close a massive loophole in the current bill that would make it harder for law enforcement officials to go after cartels and criminals using decentralized platforms to launder money. So the sheriff's concerns have just been cut out. This includes a fix from community banks to stop a significant flight of deposits out of the banking system that will hurt small businesses and communities across the country. An amendment to help community banks. We won't even get a hearing today, much less a vote. Now, Mr. Chairman, you could simply reverse your ruling right now, and I would welcome a full debate on every single Democratic and Republican amendment that has been filed to fix the very real flaws in this bill. Look, this bill is just not ready for prime time. First, the draft in front of us would blow a hole in our securities laws that have protected investors since 1929. Most Americans don't want their pensions at risk so that a few crypto billionaires can juice their own profits. Second, this bill declares open season on defrauding American consumers who use crypto. The bill wipes out a huge number of state-level protections against fraud. Third, the bill puts our financial system at risk by repeating the mistakes of 2008, letting the banks load up on risky debts, letting them scrape off the profits, and then, when it all comes crashing down, come back to the American taxpayer for a bailout. Fourth, the bill puts our national security at greater risk. Just 3 days ago, the Treasury Department issued an alert warning that Iran is exploiting crypto businesses to move their money around. Multiple public analyses documents that drug cartels are shifting their money laundering to crypto, and, quote, the cops can't keep up. And finally, the bill doesn't lift even the tiniest finger to address the Trump administration's crypto-related corruption. Since taking office last year, President Trump and his family have amassed a staggering $1.4 billion in gains from crypto deals alone. No president and no one in Congress should be allowed to profit from crypto at the same time that they are enforcing rules to regulate it. This kind of corruption undermines our democracy, and it undermines the legitimacy of the crypto industry. It will keep right on growing if Congress fails to rein it in. Now, a year ago, some of you may remember, Republicans sat in this very room and made one promise after another as they passed the Genius Act. What did they promise? They promised we'll close the national security loopholes. They promised we'll address glaring ethics problems. They promised we'll fix the yield issue. Republicans told us not to worry about the gaps in the first crypto bill because the second bill, the bill we have today, would fix every one of those problems. Well, today we are voting on the second bill, and every one of those problems still exists today. And this time, the same Republicans are shutting down amendments that would make the fixes they promised a year ago. This markup is our chance to fix these problems. And until we fix these problems, none of us, Republican or Democrat, should advance this bill out of committee or onto the Senate floor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. I do want to make a couple of comments about the process that we've undertaken over the last several months, and particularly as it relates to some of the amendments that were taken out because they were not in order. After the amendment process had a walkthrough, Ranking Member Warren's staff objected to a Republican amendment on a technical drafting issue, arguing it should be thrown out because it referenced the wrong substitute amendment number. Once they insisted on that standard, committee staff reviewed in the full amendment roster to ensure consistency. Staff confirmed with the committee clerk in consultation with the parliamentarian and floor staff that there were amendments that were filed incorrectly. What I decided to do was to, as opposed to throwing all those amendments out, throw out only the ones that were the most egregious. So the process that we've actually gone through was to make sure that both sides had an opportunity. But this whole discrepancy started when staffers decided to target a Republican amendment. And frankly, as my colleagues on my right recognize, I threw out amendments on our side as well and had to talk to our folks about that. At this time, I'll recognize.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
might I reply on that? I appreciate the work we
Certainly.
do together, but I want to correct the record on one important issue. It is your call and your call alone to rule these amendments out of order. When we talked last night, I made clear, I'm happy to have all of the amendments in, all of the Democratic amendments in, all of the Republican amendments in. You and you alone have decided which amendments are in and which amendments are out. And that creates a problem because there are some very important amendments that address some very important issues that I think we should hear from. So I will reiterate my lack of objection today. Let them all be heard. Let us vote on all of them.
Thank you. That doesn't change the fact on how we got to where we are, however. It was brought by my staff. It was brought by your staff, number one. Number two, let me just say this very clearly because I'm not going to go back and forth on this issue. Democrats have frankly worked hard on this bill. Our bill first came out in June of last year. Since June of last year, we've added 33,000 words, 219 pages in an effort to make this legislation as bipartisan as humanly possible. I can't imagine how much time Senator Alsobrooks has spent on this legislation. Frankly, during very difficult and challenging times, her focus remained on getting things done. And Tillis worked with her on parts of the very legislation that we're talking about where the negotiation allowed us to get to where we are. Gallego has spent a ton of time talking with members on this side, Bernie Moreno and others, trying to find a path forward. So the truth of the matter is, as frustrating as this process has been, without question, when I talk to members on your side of the aisle, including Warnock and Senator, we call her CCM, but Catherine Cortez Masto and Senator Warner, the one thing I can tell you, the entire process, we have disagreed vehemently, but respectfully and consistently, and working towards an end result that makes America better. as a kid who grew up in poverty, the thing that attracts me to this issue the most is democratization, an opportunity to lower prices, create access points that today does not exist. This ought not be about Republicans and Democrats. It ought not be about who's on which side of the aisle or whether you agree with what we've done. This should be about the American people and nothing else. I want single mothers like the one that raised me to have more opportunities, more access at a lower price. And so we will disagree on this today. But I hope that what we end up with is a legislative product that is good now and gets another bite at the apple as it heads to the floor. This is not over. And I hope that no one thinks that this is over. This process has been transparent, it has been hard, and it has been clear. And that's good news for the American people who are watching this process. I tried my very best to take the expertise of an AG who understands issues better than others. I worked really hard with folks who was a county supervisor, as I was, to understand the local impact in community banks. We've done a very good job of putting it together. Now, I'm a little long-winded because I wanted to be a preacher like Warnock. But it didn't work out for me. God didn't call me to that. He didn't call me to that.
Mr. Chair, stay in your lane.
Yes. Someone should say amen before he takes up an offering. But I'm just... Here's the point. This is a real opportunity to move the ball forward. For a lot of people in a lot of places, that's losing confidence in American institutions. Let's not demonize because it's easy. Let's work together because it's hard and important. Senator Lummis.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
Certainly.
Thank you. And I agree with you. I think we need to continue to move forward. And so in that vein, my question is, so we don't run afoul of this in the future, is the amendment, Cortez Masto 16, was ruled out of order.
Yes.
And can you explain why it was out of order? That would help me in the future.
Certainly. We asked all amendments to be written to the ANS, and the amendments were written to the Friday Clarity Act. Friday when we released the legislation, we asked the amendments to be written to the substitute language.
Right. And it was?
It was not.
How was it not? That would be helpful, just so I know.
I can pull it up. It was written to the HR, and it is a strike and replace of text in the HR that was not in there because it's in the ANS. We talked to the floor, and they said if they had received an amendment like this, that is a strike and replace, that is written as a put in the appropriate place, it would not have been accepted on the floor.
So just so we have a clarification for the future for all
Certainly.
of us, so we don't get caught in
Yes, yes.
this or that, these are ours. I asked the parliamentarian if this was out of order, and she said no. And so I do think it will be helpful in the future so that we don't get caught up in this craziness and we still can move forward as a body that works together on amendments, has conversation, discussion, that we have an understanding of these amendments. So I just appreciate you taking my point of order.
Absolutely.
And for the record, I will submit the parliamentarian's response to the question that I had about my amendment number 16.
Without objection.
Thank you.
We will submit our conversation with the parliamentarian as well. Senator Lummis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by a casual conversation among friends that are around this dais. Mr. Warner, thank you so much for working so hard on this bill over the last 9 months. Senator Cortez Masto, thank you. You brought a level of expertise on illicit finance that none of the rest of us had, and I want to thank you so much for that. Your thoughts, Mr. Warnock, throughout the last 9 months have been additive to what I think is a very good bill. Mr. Gallego has worked tirelessly behind the scenes on multiple issues that are involved in this legislation. And I want to single out Senator also Brooks for her tremendous time commitment and work with Mr. Tillis on the language that has helped bring this bill to the floor today on the concerns that the banking industry had about the Genius Act. This has been a bipartisan dialogue that has gone on for 9 months. It has been almost tireless. And Mr. Marino, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Kennedy, honest.
Not everything.
And especially Senator Scott, who has kept us on track for 9 months. This is the hardest piece of legislation I've ever worked on. I served 14 years in the Wyoming legislature, 8 years as state treasurer, and now 14 years in the Congress. This is by far the hardest piece of legislation I've ever worked on. And your colleague, Kirsten Gillibrand, said the same thing. And she has more experience than I do in the U.S. Senate. And it's because this is a case of first impression. This is a very new commodity and security. And it takes time to craft something to address the innovation that has been brought about through blockchain technology. And that's why it's taken such a bipartisan effort, heavy lift, lots of negotiations, involvement from those people who are in the industry. And it has morphed since we began this bill 5 years ago because the industry has matured over those years. This is new. And to have something this innovative come to us via legislation today really is quite remarkable. So I want to thank the people in this room, both in the audience and at the table, for their tireless dedication. Treasury, the White House, the industry, we have all worked hard together, and I pledge to you, we will continue to work hard together after today and before this bill hits the floor to address that maybe 1% of the remaining issues that didn't come to fruition before today, in spite of our round-the-clock negotiations. This is America's innovation of the 250th anniversary of our Constitution. There's been nothing like it in our history. This bill continues the legacy of America by ensuring innovation happens here on U.S. soil under clear pro-growth, pro-consumer guidelines. And I can't resist, Mr. Chairman, when I was listening to the ranking member, the risks of which she spoke exist now, right now, because there is no regulatory framework. There is no way now that this industry can protect the good actors, discover, vet, and punish the bad actors, and create a playing field with clear regulation, both at the SEC and the CFTC, that everyone can play under and continue to innovate. We can return this industry to the United States because the majority of it has already left for overseas because this legislation wasn't ready until today. Let me go through a couple of the things that we have done to strengthen and address some of the issues that have been raised. Regard to anti-money laundering and illicit finance, it creates risk-based exam standards. It expands Treasury's special measure authority to act swiftly against foreign money laundering. It creates studies on mixers and tumblers. It requires annual Treasury reports on foreign jurisdictions' compliance with U.S. AML CFT standards. It requires recurring Treasury reports on offshore stablecoins. It requires mandatory educational materials on digital asset risks, insider resale restrictions to prevent pump and dump schemes. It has timely disclosure requirements, broker deal insolvency disclosures, a federal regulatory floor for crypto kiosks. This is very important. This has been a problem in my state. Tokenized securities remain securities under SEC jurisdiction. FTC authority over unfair or deceptive practices. $30 million per year through 2031 for FinCEN. With regard to fraud and AML provisions, temporary holds for suspicious activities and preventing those who place the holds from having private causes of action. It applies BSA regulation to digital asset brokers, dealers, and exchanges. This list goes on and on. This is a pro-law enforcement bill. And it's also a pro-consumer bill. Consumers can now transmit money between them faster and cheaper than they can now. It provides a level playing field regardless of whether you live in Rwanda or Queens, New York, about transmitting money faster and cheaper. It provides a woman who's trying to get out of a battered, miserable marriage the opportunity to walk away with her money in her head. It provides people who are being tortured in foreign countries the opportunity to walk away from that country with their money in their head, because Bitcoin can be memorized. This is an innovation that provides individual freedom, individual savings. It is faster, cheaper, it is secure, and we're inviting that consumer environment into our country under a very clearly articulated set of rules. And it's because of all the work that has gone into this by the people in this room. I absolutely pledge that I will work with you before this bill gets to the floor. We know those few remaining little items that we have to work on together. I trust you, and I want you to trust me to see this process through, because we know when we work together that we can create a product that we can be proud of and the American people can be proud of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Tillis.
Very quick, Mr. Chairman. Senator Lummis did a wonderful job. I just want to reinforce a couple of things. You know, quite honestly, when I heard the ranking member talk, I thought I'd teleported into a parallel universe where we were talking about a different bill that was being negotiated. This bill has all of the attributes that Senator Lummis discussed. That's why AARP has endorsed it. That's why law enforcement supports it, because the status quo, quite honestly, is unacceptable. Not to mention the competitive threat that we have for foreign jurisdictions, just to take the money elsewhere, and then we're aiding and abetting and expanding the use of illicit finance through this tool. But I don't need to get into those merits, the merits of the bill anymore. I just want to thank Senator Alsobrooks. I want to thank Senator Gallego. I want to thank Senator Cortez Masto, who really opened my eyes to some of the prosecutorial issues that I, as a non-attorney, hadn't paid attention to. Senator Warner, Senator Warnock. Yeah, I've done a lot of bipartisan bills in my time in the Senate. And the only way this works is a bipartisan vote out of this committee to get all these things that are in this bill moving. But the Democrats have ball control. They control the motion to proceed. Like Senator Lummis, I'm committed to work in good faith, and I think I've proven that multiple times when it was tough for a Republican to lead something, and I'm going to do it again here. But let's get the momentum out of this committee. But finally, and I have to tell, I told Senator Alsobrooks this morning, what a joy it's been to work with her staff. And the one group here, we've talked about the stakeholders, we've talked about the folks from the White House, but But we should all give our staff who have gotten here before us and left here after us for all of the hard work that they've done, and we owe them the respect of reporting this out on a bipartisan basis today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Reid, and this will be the last comment. Senator Warren has just helped me remember that some members have to go to other committees, and we should get to the amendments. Senator Reid, the floor is yours.
I'll be very brief, Mr. Chairman. I've heard both you and Senator Lummis speak eloquently about working together. I've been on this committee almost 30 years. The definition of working together at a markup is allowing amendments to be called up and voted upon. The vote determines where we go forward. And I've never witnessed anything like this in these 30 years, with this arbitrarily eliminating amendments, telling people they can't bring them up or modify them to be brought up. And I'm willing to work together, but this is not an example of working together. Thank you.
I move to call up H.R. 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, and ask unanimous consent that we dispense with the reading of all amendments. Senators will find printed copies in front of them, the text of which has already been made available. Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered. I move to consideration of the manager's amendment, Scott Amendment Number 1. It is an amendment, the nature of the substitute to H.R. 3633. I ask that Scott Amendment Number 1, the substitute amendment, be adopted and considered as original text for purposes of further amendment. I ask that the amendment be adopted by voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. The ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. I now call up Rounds 133. Senator Rounds, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment, number 133, I have with co-sponsor Senators Kim and Warner, and I would thank them for their participation.
I don't know if they're going to go through all amendments, but this is going to be a long live stream if that's the case. There were a lot of amendments.
Or sandboxes. These will enable regulated financial institutions to experiment with AI test projects without expectation of enforcement action, taking a balanced approach that encourages both innovation and responsible adoption of AI. This amendment would create a venue, a sandbox, for institutions to safety test and experiment with cutting-edge technologies while allowing regulators to learn about the tools that will transform financial services. It closely aligns with the purpose of the bill we are considering today, which is why I urge my colleagues to support this amendment. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for a vote.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to be recognized on this amendment.
Okay.
Is that all right?
60 seconds. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this amendment would establish a sandbox as
It's going to be like 5 hours long.
is in the financial sector. Look, I appreciate my colleagues' interest in this issue, but boy, I am not ready to support this proposal. This is not the place to make decisions about AI regulation. The committee should hold hearings on the implications of AI. We should have a debate about the policy options. I am happy to work with my colleagues to see if there's a version of this amendment that we can support. But this provision is not there yet, and I don't think a track record of these sandboxes over the past decade in financial technology or fintech context should give us much confidence that that actually turns out to have good results for the American people and that it ensures safe innovation for AI. So I think this is way too big for a little amendment like this and opens doors we should not be opening without a much fuller discussion and hearings. So I would urge my colleagues to vote no on rounds 133.
The clerk will call the roll. Chairman? Aye.
Mr. Crapo? Aye. Mr. Rounds? Aye. Mr. Tillis?
Bro, we got to do
Mr.
this for
Kennedy?
like all these,
Mr.
all
Haggerty?
100 of these.
aye.
Ms. Lummis? Aye. Mrs. Britt? Aye. Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Kramer? Aye. Mr. Moreno? Aye. Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
No.
Ms. Smith?
Gonna need more protocol to
Warnock?
get through this.
No.
Mr.
On
Kim?
Amazon.
Aye.
Pick yourself up a case.
Mr. Gallego?
No.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Also Brooks?
No.
The vote is 15 in favor and 9 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. I now call up Warren number 74.
So let's talk about some of the people who will be hurt by a bill that supercharges the crypto industry without guardrails. People saving for retirement and people with pension plans. The current draft fails to address one of the biggest concerns that retirees face in this bill, the tokenization loophole. This country's biggest workers' unions and groups representing the largest pension funds have said that this is a catastrophic problem. Under this bill, companies could escape basic securities laws by raising money through tokens rather than traditional securities like stock, exposing Americans to a host of risks by removing necessary investor protections. The bill also kneecaps federal and state law enforcement authorities' ability to crack down on crypto fraud and scams. In other words, this bill sets up investors to be defrauded with no recourse. My amendment would require investment advisors and other entities in the financial system to develop and implement processes to protect investors from the heightened risk posed by crypto before recommending it to Americans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Every member of this committee should agree with this simple fix to protect our investors, and I urge my colleagues to support Warren Amendment 74.
Someone who wants to be recognized for rebuttal? Rebuttals are only 60 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment would single out digital assets for a special presumption of noncompliance and create unnecessary litigation risk.
That's right.
This amendment should not be adopted. It requires fiduciaries to implement special processes to protect clients from digital asset risks or be presumed to have violated their fiduciary duty. Current fiduciary standards already require intermediaries to act in their clients' best interests, making this amendment unnecessary.
Tell her, Cynthia.
The clerk will call the roll.
Tell her.
Chairman?
No?
Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? No. Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. McCormick? No. Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
That's great.
Mr. Warner? Aye. Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Aye. Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Warnock? Aye. Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Gallego? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester? Aye. Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We'll now go to Britt 14. Senator Britt, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer Brit number 14, my amendment
crash
regarding
already?
403B savings accounts. This bill is bipartisan. It is very simple. It is widely supported. It allows employees of nonprofit organizations like public school teachers, ministers, nurses. It allows them the same access to the 401k retirement plans that most Americans can enjoy. CITs offer a wider investment vehicle along with lower fees and even higher returns, and this will allow them to participate in that. This levels the playing field so that more hardworking Americans can access more investment options and ultimately retire sooner. I want to thank Senator Warnock for leading this standalone bill with me and a number of my colleagues here on this committee, both Democrat and Republican, who have co-sponsored it. I am committed to finding a vehicle for this to move. I am also committed to making sure that the Clarity Act moves out today. So we will look for a different vehicle and we'll continue to build support. I withdraw my amendment, but look forward to working with the chair and the ranking member to actually get this done.
Thank you very much. And I'll call up Warren 64.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this bill that we're looking at fails to address foundational gaps on money laundering responsibilities.
So these are they're just going through the amendments. They're voting on those. So that's where we are right now. Not the actual markup yet. You're going to probably hear a lot from Warren because she has like 1 million of these. So.
Oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Terrorist groups, rogue states, foreign adversaries, and criminals are using crypto to evade our sanctions and launder their money. According to industry analysts, crypto crime jumped at least $154 billion last year, driven in large part by a 694% increase in crypto funds sent to sanctioned entities. Sanctioned entities are receiving these. Look, we need to fix the hole in our sanctions authority and crack down on crypto money laundering. In 2022, the United States sanctioned a notorious mixer called Tornado Cash that had been used to launder more than $7 billion for criminals and foreign adversaries, including more than $450 million for a North Korean hacking group. These types of crypto services are designed to make it easy to launder a huge pile of money and making it hard for anyone, including our law enforcement officials, to tell where the money came from. They are a favorite tool for hackers, for terrorist groups,
I think there's like
and for
100.
sanctioned regimes. But a court said Treasury needed Congress, us, to act before it would be able to sanction the mixers like Tornado Cash. So this amendment is simple.
Smash that
It
like, everybody.
restores the authority to isolate and
Means a lot.
sanction decentralized crypto platforms that repeatedly facilitate transactions with terrorist organizations like ISIS or Al-Qaeda or with North Korea, Russia, or Iran. And I urge my colleagues to support this amendment.
Senator Lummis for a rebut.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason that's happening is because this bill is not law. When this bill becomes law, it includes robust provisions in Titles 2 and 3 to address illicit finance and sanctions. And it focuses these provisions where they'll be most effective. For example, it
There you go,
provides
100
law
amendments.
enforcement with the
40
tools they
are
need to
Elizabeth
trace
Warren's.
and disrupt money laundering
So I guess
and
we'll
clarify
hear
sanctions and
Elizabeth
anti-money
Warren
laundering
speak.
requirements for digital asset entities. We want to discourage the illegitimate use of digital assets while encouraging
44.
the legitimate use. And we have found that balance in this bill. This amendment is not necessary. I urge that we oppose the amendment.
Mr.
Get her,
Chairman.
Cynthia. Let's go, Cynthia.
Kennedy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Senator Kennedy.
Do I have your permission to ask Senator Warren a quick question?
15 seconds.
Yes, sir.
It'll take a
I
minute.
got to get Cynthia on the
Senator
channel.
Warren, I don't understand why this bill doesn't already accomplish the very worthy goal that you've articulated.
Chairman, may I answer?
15 seconds.
It's the tornado problem. You remember tornado, the mixer. What this amendment does is it says that the government can sanction and wall off a mixer like Tornado. What
mixer
purpose
like
does
Tornado.
Tornado serve except to hide where the money came from and where the money's going to? And who needs to hide where the money came from and where the money's going to? It's the terrorists, it's the money launderers, it's Iran, it's the sanctioned entities.
She doesn't even actually know
So all
what she's
this is
talking
doing
about
is
if you
saying,
actually listen.
let's give the power.
Crazy.
It doesn't actually isolate them in the bill. Let's give the power to government to say, when this is what you're doing, they can isolate you when you're dealing with these bad actors. You're mixing up the money so that you advance money laundering.
There's no
Senator
outcome
Lummis,
currently.
and then we'll move to the
Just
vote.
getting through the
Yeah,
amendments.
thanks, Mr. Chairman. This bill provides for a study of the use of mixes and tumblers. They're a very complicated entity. Plus, provides $30 million to FinCEN, which does have the expertise to unravel mixes and tumblers, and already has the tools it needs to enforce.
Yeah. Can I just say on that, yes, they have the expertise.
Look at S&P.
But they don't have the legal authority. A court has said they need legal authority from Congress so that they will be able to isolate these mixers. Right now, they can't do that. So put your money in if you're a terrorist, go use Tornado, and know that there will be virtually no chance of being caught. And that this is how Iran can stay in the game and keep using its money.
Right.
This is how North Korea stays in. I'm sorry.
Certain. Rebut, Senator Lummis? Bill solves that problem?
Yes, Title II and III. And it's in illicit finance sanctions focus on providing law enforcement with the tools they need to trace and disrupt money laundering, including mixes
A
and
study.
tumblers. Well, the law enforcement tools are also in this bill.
Clerk, call the roll.
S&P on the weekly,
No?
hourly.
Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Rounds? No. Mr.
Definitely going to
Tillis?
be some
Mr. Kennedy?
pullbacks.
Mr.
but
Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
I think we're at the very beginning of
Lummis?
something.
No,
Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
Very big on this chart.
Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed? Yes. Mr. Warner? Aye. Mr. Van Hollen?
Yes, by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Aye. Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Warnock? Aye. Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Gallego? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester? Aye. Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not adopted. We now call up McCormick, 115. Senator McCormick, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To have the opportunity to introduce my amendment 115, co-sponsored with Senator Bill Haggerty. There's a long history of bipartisan support for the SEC and CFTC to provide for portfolio margining. Section 402 of the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act directs the SEC and the CFTC to jointly issue rules that enable portfolio margining across securities, swaps, futures, and digital commodity accounts held by registered dealers, FCMs, or brokers. This section is intended to allow natural risk offsets among positions to be recognized and would create greater efficiencies for investors to manage risk. However, for the portfolio margining to function properly, changes are necessary to ensure that customer protections under the Securities Investor Protection Act, SIPA, carry to CFTC-regulated products in the event that a broker-dealer becomes insolvent. This amendment I'm offering today gives the SEC and CFTC the flexibility to write rules relating to SIPA with consultation from SIPC and Treasury on expanded security portfolio margin accounts. Not only is this essential for customer protection during times of market stress, but the amendment also explicitly prohibits SIPC advances from covering digital commodities or swap positions which protect traditional securities customers. Digital assets are being folded into the fabric of the financial system. This amendment recognizes that reality, and its passage is important to every single market participant, the banks, crypto, and customers. This amendment is the result of working closely with both Treasury and SIPC
Just going through
and
the
represents a
amendments
bipartisan agreement
now.
with my Democratic colleagues. I would ask to be adopted by voice, but I'm open to a roll call vote, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Voice, if everybody,
I'd like to respond.
Certainly.
If I could, thank you. Section 402 of this bill directs the CFTC and SEC to issue a joint rulemaking that will facilitate portfolio margining across a wide variety of categories of a lot of diverse instruments, including crypto. Now, as everyone here knows, portfolio margining allows calculation of margin requirements based on the overall portfolio rather than by individual position, and it has the effect of lowering margin requirements for trading. Lower margin requirements increase leverage and therefore increase risk in the system. Excessive leverage in our financial system has, time and time again, been a culprit in crashes that harm not just our financial markets, but spread to the real economy. The bill is set to unleash unregulated crypto upon our economy. It would also increase leverage across a range of different asset classes and regulatory regimes. I appreciate that Amendment 115 takes some steps toward protecting consumers from the havoc of this new regime, but it is not enough. The amendment further seems to remove SIPC protections from accounts with crypto, which highlights one of the real paradoxes in this bill. It pushes more of the market into crypto and removes protections for investors and removes recourse for victims. That is the wrong direction to go in.
all righty.
When this blows up at the economy, I hope everybody remembers their vote.
Dude, come on.
Actually, we're out of time, actually.
Here.
I'm going to stick with our 2 minutes, 1 minute as much as possible. Voice vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Actually, I'd like to have a recorded vote on this. I think this one's going to matter in history.
Clerk will call the roll. Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Sorry.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed? Mr. Warner? Mr. Van Hollen? No. Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock? Mr. Kim? Mr. Geigo? Ms. Blunt Rochester? No. Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment has been adopted. We now call up Warren 52.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when banks take excessive
Ay,
risks
caramba.
in pursuit of windfall profits, we know what happens next. The bets blow up, businesses on Main
I should
Street are
just name
shuttered,
this
workers lose
Elizabeth
their jobs
Warren
and
Live.
retirement savings, families are thrown out of their homes, and the economy goes into a
think this
recession.
through.
Oh, and then Wall Street comes to Congress
really
and
didn't
begs
think
for
it through.
bailouts and gets them. That's why our laws are supposed to keep the banks safe and sound, in part by limiting the kinds of assets that banks
We're really
can
just
own
getting started
and
and
the
we've got
activities they can conduct.
10,000 in
There are
the live
plenty of
stream right
traditional
now.
assets that banks are prohibited from owning and traditional activities that banks are prohibited from conducting. This bill would throw out these sensible restrictions on crypto assets. For example, the bill allows banks to transact in the Wild West of decentralized finance, where a platform seems to face a run, get hacked, or otherwise implode pretty much every week. The bill also allows banks to lend against crypto as collateral.
While Elizabeth is talking through one of her amendments, just take a break just for a moment. Wanted to go through a couple of things. We just saw Cynthia Lummis, really taking it to Elizabeth Warren, but she posted this morning. I wanted to kind of talk through this a little bit to add some context to this, all these votes that are going on right now. Obviously, Cynthia very bullish on the situation. This is a clip from her this morning as well. I guess probably right before this this markup started, but just check the clip out.
Good morning to you. Sounds like we're here. It's going to happen.
That's a fact.
So step one, I think it is going to happen today. But I want to add to that in just a moment.
We've been working for over 9 months with Democrats trying to get this bill ready for today. It provides a regulatory framework that currently doesn't exist in the digital asset world. It's the Wild West out there. And that allows fraudsters to operate without a regulatory.
So Cynthia Loomis, bullish on this getting through today. We're going to continue watching. There she is right there, speaking, talking right now. But what I want to just talk through really briefly is a post that I posted yesterday on X. And this is just something to think about as we're watching this. Even if it cruises through Senate Banking Committee markup, which is today, happening right now, the real challenge is getting through the full Senate. It needs 60 votes to beat a filibuster. So basically all 53 Republicans and at least 7 Democrats. Elizabeth Warren doing everything possible to block the whole thing. She'll likely become even more aggressive. Timing is going to be crazy right before the midterms. And the biggest thing I think that will be helpful to watch is prediction markets. Right now, they're at like 60 to 70%. And you would think, man, if this is like really getting to that point where it's going to pass, it would be higher. And so if you're wondering why it's not higher, this is why. The votes that are needed to get through Senate. So today, maybe it gets through, right? And it's looking promising. Eleanor, actually, I'm not going to read through this whole post, but she posted actually not that long ago at all. And she's even saying in terms of the vote today, nothing's final until it happens. So we'll see what the next few hours bring. Because I think there were some concerns. But with that being said, even if it gets through today, it's not like this is it. So I just want to mention that if you're in the live stream right now, if this gets through, this isn't like it's done. It still has to get through Senate before going to Trump's desk to be signed into law. This is like that next big step. It is a huge, massive step. This has taken like a year practically to get here. But I just wanted to add that because I think it's helpful to keep that in mind as we're watching this. And in like, I don't know how long this is going to take to get through this and to find out what happens here. But when it gets to the end, the finish line today, if it passes, just the first step.
For more than a decade, banks
Should I leave it muted?
generated massive fees off of Epstein's business while ignoring very obvious red flags. It wasn't until Epstein was arrested once again in 2019 that J.P. Morgan finally disclosed more than 4,700 transactions made between 1998 and 2013, totaling more than $1 billion, including payments to Russian banks and young women. I have called on President Trump's bank regulators to use their authorities to investigate the bank executives that helped facilitate Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and to turn over any information they have gathered over the years to Congress. And so far, they haven't lifted a finger. This amendment would require the federal banking regulators to publish any bank examination records related to Epstein and his co-conspirators. What did the banks know, and when did they know it? Did bank regulators spot anything that should have set off alarms? Answers to those questions may be buried in the banking regulators' confidential supervisory records. Some sunlight might help prevent Wall Street and crypto companies from funding the next Jeffrey Epstein. I urge my colleagues to support Warren 66.
Mr. Chairman, confidential supervisory information is not germane to digital asset market structure. The Epstein files have nothing to do with this bill. I urge my
Republicans
colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Have the
Clerk will call
Senate
the
right
roll.
now.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
53 to 47.
The point of order?
Sure. I just wanted to ask Senator Warren, how are you
Kennedy?
defining co-conspirators?
This is exactly what we want to find out. When you don't have the information, you don't know. But what we do know is that Jeffrey Epstein was using crypto early on, that he was involved
It's
in illicit
crazy,
financial
dude.
transactions, that 3 of the largest financial
But I'm
institutions.
sorry, I get that. But you say the regulators have to release stuff about Epstein and his co-conspirators. How are they going to know who his co-conspirators are?
Well, they
Thank
have
you.
already been
Thank you,
named
sir.
in court documents. One is identified is Ghislaine Maxwell as an identified, convicted co-conspirator. And I think her record should be released as well.
I look forward to you all continuing this conversation after the hearing. Clerk will call the roll. No.
Mr. Crapo?
I can't
Mr.
believe
Rounds?
Warren's got like 40 some of these
Mr.
things,
Tillis?
dude.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
No by proxy?
Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed? Mr. Warner? Mr. Van Hollen? Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock? Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to,
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to get in trouble again, I
Yes,
know,
sir.
but I've got another point of order. I would consider voting for this amendment if you think about taking out co-conspirators.
I'd be glad to amend it. Yes, the author of the amendment accepts the proposed change.
Mr. Chair, point of order, the vote's been held, the amendment's been disposed of. That would require an additional amendment at this time.
the amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to call up Reed number 90.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment allows the government to block foreign illicit transactions that occur using stablecoins as if they were dollars in a bank. This will primarily crack down on Iran's use of stablecoins to fund their nuclear program, support terrorist proxies, and
Voting through these
engage
amendments.
with our forces at the present time. According to blockchain analytics firm TRM Labs, Iran continues to use cryptocurrency to source sensitive goods. Chinese chip resellers have shown the willingness and capability to supply drone components, electrical equipment, AI critical hardware, et cetera. And these unmanned systems, these drones, are what is wreaking havoc on our forces and our allies in the Persian Gulf today. We've lost 14 Americans and hundreds wounded, and the money can be traced back, much of it, to stablecoins. Now, Iran is also accepting tolls in stablecoins at the Strait of Hormuz, and they're making money on that too. Now, Treasury cannot shut down this operation. Excuse me. They have to go hat in hand to Tether and say, please, Tether, would you voluntarily stop doing this? We need structures. Everyone stands around here and talks about how much they support the troops. If you really support the troops, cut off the funding for the Iranians.
Rebuttal? Senator
Chairman.
Haggerty, please.
Mr. Chairman, the bill that we're voting on today already includes dedicated illicit finance and sanctions provisions for digital assets. Title II and Title III address anti-money laundering, sanctions compliance, information sharing, digital asset kiosks, DeFi risk controls, and other illicit financing risks. The amendment creates a broad extraterritorial rule for dollar-denominated stablecoins. I'm concerned that actually could undermine responsible use of stablecoins abroad. So I'm going to urge my colleagues to oppose Senator Reid's amendment.
Mr. President?
Clerk will call the roll. No.
Mr. Crapo?
No by proxy.
Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy? No. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? No. Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Warnock? Aye. Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Gallego? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester? Aye. Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to Reid, number 100. Senator?
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman. My amendment number 100 attempts to do what I tried to do in the Genius Act, which was to make the U.S. dollar the official currency of the United States.
So right now what they're doing is they're voting on amendments, which is like you can hear they're proposing changes to clarity, like changes to the text. And most of them are just like, especially Elizabeth Warren, like so much posturing. It's just like, it's taking so long because there's over 100 of these things. But that's what they're voting on right now, changes to the text. And most of them, you know, don't mean much. I think if you look at Eleanor, so when it comes to the amendments that they're voting on right now, ethics is like the big thing. It's big because there are certain Democrats that might cross over, especially when it comes to the Senate vote, whenever that happens, if it happens, because of ethics. So when it comes to these amendments, those are probably the ones that are important. But Eleanor actually did an update kind of on this earlier. I wasn't going to really read through it, but I think maybe it's helpful. The 5 pro-crypto banking committee Democrats gathered this morning to figure out final direction on how to vote in today's markup after negotiations with GOP colleagues fell through last night. However, hearing it's likely going to be a collective vote against, driven largely by disagreements over the BRCA after Cortez pushed for changes following support from law enforcement groups this week for her amendments. After everything we heard about ethics this week, it no longer appears to be the central sticking point. Instead, the focus seems to have shifted to whether Democrats believe the Grassley-Loomis-backed BRCA compromise goes far enough to address law enforcement concerns. So now it's law enforcement concerns. As always, nothing is final to happens, so we'll see what happens, or we'll see what the next few hours bring. So, law enforcement concerns. I don't really know which amendments have anything to do with that, but probably something to look out for. But that's what they're doing right now, is they're voting on these amendments.
Difficult economic.
If some of the Democrats can be appeased, right, through this process, the goal is for them to come over to the side of clarity, especially for when it gets to the Senate.
The chairman? Mr. Crapo? Mr. Rounds? Mr. Tillis? Mr.
Pretty
Kennedy?
crazy. Pretty crazy.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno?
It did
Mr.
get through the
McCormick?
House.
No.
Ms. Warren?
But today, this is not the Senate
Mr. Reed?
vote that you're thinking. This
Mr.
is
Warner?
the markup vote.
Mr. Van Hollen?
This isn't the big Senate
Ms. Cortez
vote.
Masto?
Before it gets to Trump's desk, we're
Smith?
not there yet. We got to get
Mr.
through today
Warnock?
first.
Mr. Kim?
But yeah, the House did
Mr.
vote.
Geigo?
Got through the House a while ago.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
Thank you. The amendment is not adopted. We will now call up Warner 131, but to answer the question of Senator Moreno, the answer is $161,774.
Not sure. Looks like it's on track. I think we're on track.
Well,
to
thank you,
pass today.
Mr. Chairman. I want
Get
to
it to
start
the
by
Senate.
thanking you and your staff. We have worked through thousands of hours. I want to particularly thank Senator Lummis. I can't think of a piece of legislation that I've spent more time on. I voted for Genius because I thought we needed a stablecoin basis in this country. And I think we need a market structure bill for this country as well. And I will look forward to continuing to work on this past committee. Now, I also, though, want to take a moment to acknowledge, I think, a continued good faith from the chairman and Senator Lummis. There are a series of bipartisan amendments that we worked on this morning that you've accepted. So I, again, absolutely trust that we can get this done. My amendment, and I just, particularly for my friends sitting in the audience, reflects the language that my Republican colleagues and the White House accepted on DeFi. Now, we have worked dramatically since that time, hearing some of the industry's concerns. We've made over 40 changes, and most of that will be included, I think, in Senator Lummis's amendments. I still think there are some issues to work through, particularly to make sure that law enforcement has the tools it needs to make sure bad actors can't find a way to work around this framework. Make sure senior government officials can't use these tools to enrich themselves. I'm committed to working to get a bill that moves this bill forward on the floor. I guess I've often said I've been in crypto hell the last couple of months. I hope to get to crypto heaven. I guess I'm right now in crypto purgatory, but I'm looking forward to getting all the way there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And on my amendment.
Thank you. I'll now call up, actually, before I do so, we are around 11:45, which means that we're about 17 minutes away from the 2-hour window and would need permission to continue beyond that.
That was Van Hollen actually just speaking, it was interesting hearing him say that he thinks it's promising to get this through, considering I think he's one of the Democrats that we need to kind of get on board. So let's check that guy out as he's putting forth his amendments. I think he's got some amendments. That's Van Hollen.
Was sent to illicit crypto wallets, up from $59 billion in 2024. Decentralized finance, DeFi services play an important role in this illicit ecosystem. I think we all know that. Bad actors use tools like tumblers and mixers to launder money, evade law enforcement, and move funds. Just look at what North Korean hackers did last year. They hacked $1.5 billion from the crypto exchange Bybit, and then used DeFi services and exchanges to switch between crypto tokens to launder funds and evade investigators. These are funds that can now help support the North Korean nuclear program or other illicit activities. Or look at Iran. Iranian actors have been documented using DeFi exchanges and techniques to launder funds and evade sanctions. In some cases, it's clear that these DeFi tools are created because their developers plan to profit from illicit activity. They know that bad actors will exploit these tools. In fact, that's the whole point for some of them. And so we need to hold them accountable. Addressing the illicit finance risk in DeFi overall is not straightforward, we know that. But this amendment is straightforward, and it's limited and simple. It would simply make it unlawful to release a DeFi protocol for the express purpose of enabling.
While he's talking, there's this comment. They're doing the amendments first. After this is done, they'll vote on the Clarity Act. So they'll vote on the markup today. And it says, if it passes 60 votes, it goes to Trump. So these are like separate things. I just want to be clear. The markup vote is today. If it gets through, then at a later date, it will go to the Senate vote where we need 60 votes. We need 60 yes. Best case scenario, probably sometime in June. Like people like Cynthia Lummis, they're going to want to make sure they have the 60 votes before it goes to vote. That vote will not happen today. This is like the doorway opening to be able to go do that, getting through this markup vote. So the big one is maybe sometime in June where maybe I'm doing another live stream tracking this and covering this. That's the one where we're like, dude, let's go. And if that passes that day, boom, then it goes to Trump's desk by, the goal is July 4th, my wedding anniversary. So that's what we're looking at right now. So this is like right, but the time frame is, this is not all happening today. I just want to make that clear, especially because there's probably a lot of people wondering that.
Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? No. Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Gallego? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to Van Hollen, number 35. Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is straightforward. It's designed to prevent conflict of interests and self-dealing by the president or members of the House or the Senate. It also requires greater transparency. We have all seen the president and members of his family involved in corrupt crypto ventures and various crypto scams. Through World Liberty Financial, the Trump family has raked in billions in profits, much of it obtained through corrupt deals with members of the UAE royal family. In fact, we've heard testimony from witnesses before this committee about that. And the Trump and Melania meme coins have allowed Trump to rake in hundreds of millions, if not more, in cash, even as investors lost $4.3 billion. The way that scam works is that whether retail investors win or lose, Trump is like the house at the casino. He always wins. And what this amendment does is very simple. We're letting the American public know, we're letting the people know that we're not going to allow self-dealing by the president or members of the House and Senate and others who have direct control and influence over these operations, as witnessed by the fact that we're marking up this bill. So the people involved directly in making these policies, from the president to the Congress, should not be able to be issuers of these particular assets and coins. So that's what the amendment does, Mr. Chairman, and I ask for the yeas and nays.
Rebuttal.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Moreno.
this is the Banking Committee, not the Judiciary Committee. The inclusion of a criminal penalty and references the Attorney General make this amendment not germane to this committee. It's out of order. I urge my colleagues to vote no. And I would also just say that as a lawyer, you should, if anybody, respect the fact that people are innocent in this country to proven guilty. You're making conclusive comments about a person who's a good man who serves this nation. And to say with no knowledge that he is committing a crime is a disgrace. We can have political conversations about policies. We don't have to turn everything into ad hominem attacks against the President of the United States.
Clerk will call the roll.
Well, the chairman, allow me just to respond briefly, because I was clear, Senator, that the deal with World Liberty Financial has all the markings of a corrupt deal. as you know, the president decided to relieve some of the restrictions the United States had placed on chips and AI to the royal family just after those transactions occurred, and he departed for his trip. And of course, there was the transaction even before the inauguration that Sheikh Tahnoon made in World Liberty Financial.
Let me just reinforce the point that Senator Moreno made. Our country still affords the individual the presumption of innocence. And while we can continue the process of making allegations, I do think Senator Moreno's point is spot on. And rarely do I speak out when you two are having a conversation or any other ones. I do think we should be very careful in this context. But let us move to the vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, of course, this amendment doesn't pass judgment on this issue. This just says
No,
the president, no matter who he is, or members of Congress.
Your comments did, not the amendment itself.
I used the word corrupt.
Call the roll.
Difference.
Call the roll.
We're getting feisty.
The chairman?
It's getting feisty.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
Haggerty's no.
Mrs. Britt?
Haggerty's got that
Mr.
voice.
Ricketts?
Haggerty's no.
Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock?
Hopefully the
Mr.
ads
Kim?
happen when Elizabeth Warren is talking.
Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to, so we will now
Dan is
move
a
to
no.
Cortez Masto, number 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start off by saying, similar to some of my colleagues, thank you for working together. I think we have come so far on a number of provisions in a bipartisan way, and I appreciate that. I also want to continue working with my colleagues. Senator Lummis, you've been great to work with. Thank you. And I look forward to continuing to work with you to move forward. Let me just say a couple of things. I am concerned that right now the Clarity Act would make it more difficult for law enforcement to capture criminals who use DeFi to move their illicit proceeds. In response to the work that we have been doing together on the sections, including this amendment, I have received letters from law enforcement opposing portions like this of the Clarity Act. There's 2 letters from the National Association of Assistant U.S. Attorneys who do the prosecution of that illicit activity, 2 letters from the National District Attorneys Association, 2 letters from the National Sheriff's Association, a letter from the Fraternal Order of Police, and a letter from the major county sheriffs of America, International Association of Chiefs of Police, Association of State Criminal Investigative Agencies, and the National Association of Police Organizations. I'd actually submit these for the record. Thank you. And the reason why is my goal has been to find common ground, because I think we have agreed that a true non-controlling developer or software provider shouldn't be subject because they're not involved in any of this activity. The concern that many of us have, including in law enforcement, was that the definition was too broad. And the bad guys are going to jump into that definition. And the bad guys we're talking about are the ones that I think Senator Kennedy, I'm sorry he's not here, was asking questions about. Those mixers and those tumblers. They are carved out of these sections. And so the goal would be to make sure that we are letting the good players still be able to innovate, those non-controlling developers, let them do their thing, but not taking away the tools from law enforcement to be able to prosecute those individuals that pose a really kind of a public safety, national security threat. And I'm talking about folks like foreign states like South Korea and others. Excuse me, I was paying attention to the chairman. I'm trying to move very quickly now, but let me finish this. For North Korea, Iran, and others that are using this terrorist activity that unfortunately are opposed to what we are doing here in the United States, protecting our communities. So I support the crypto regulation. I voted for Genius last year I'm ready to continue to work on this bill, but we need language to stop and punish those bad actors and give the prosecutors the tools they need to be able to do just that.
Rebuttal.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Moreno.
First of all, to my colleague from Nevada, thank you for your hard work on all this, and I think you're absolutely working in good faith to try to get to a resolution. I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. But this amendment would strike critical protections for non-controlling blockchain developers contained in Section 301. What makes this amendment particularly troubling is that Section 301 has specifically drafted to distinguish between so-called decentralized finance protocols that are decentralized in name only. We actually came up with a name that Republicans don't always love, being called rhinos. We call this one dinos. And protocols that are genuinely decentralized and not operated by centralized intermediaries behind the scenes. If this legislation already recognizes that distinction and applies appropriate regulatory standards to actors who retain control over a protocol, it makes little sense to simultaneously eliminate protections for developers of truly decentralized systems that lack a controlling intermediary. In practice, this amendment would introduce regulatory uncertainty. I could go on, but here's what I would say. What Senator Lummis said earlier, let's work together to figure out a way to get a landing spot where you're comfortable, we support law enforcement, and we make certain that there's accountability in this.
Software.
But for this amendment, I urge my colleagues to vote no.
Crypto
Clerk will call the
tends to
roll.
Follow.
Nope.
Mr. Crabo?
Nope.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No by proxy.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock? Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to
These are
call
pretty
up
close.
Smith number 119. Senator Smith, you're now recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to offer my amendment, Smith number 119. So this amendment would incorporate Senator Durbin's No Bailout for Crypto Act, which I joined him in introducing last year. We can all agree, I think, that crypto assets are incredibly volatile, and a single tweet can cause prices to fluctuate wildly. Bitcoin, for example, lost nearly a third of its value since hitting an all-time high just in October. Ethereum's value has more than halved since its peak, and these are just two of the most dominant assets in the crypto market.
So as all of this is going on, like I'm just thinking again, I don't know if you were at the beginning of my live stream, but I went over this post that I did yesterday. I really am having trouble, like, these are stepping stones. We have to get through today, the markup. I think that looks so much more promising that that will happen. But it's very hard for me to imagine that we can be fully confident it's going to get through Senate. Because that vote will need 60 votes to beat a filibuster. And controlling Senate is Republicans right now. They have 53. So that means we need 7 Democrats to vote when it gets to the Senate floor. And it's difficult to imagine that that's like, I mean, that's far from locked in. So it's like anything else. I'm a very optimistic person, but we have to be realistic about the barriers, the challenges that are ahead here. And it can get through. I'm just saying, this is not a lock-in at all.
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No by proxy.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock? Mr. Kim? Mr. Geigo? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment
Mr.
is-
Chairman, I asked to be recorded as present.
Thank you.
Thank
And a
you.
no.
I don't know.
Thank you. The amendment is not agreed to. We will now call up Warnock 121.
Mr. Chairman, I intend to call up Amendment Warnock 121. Thank you. My amendment further strengthens this bill's consumer and investor protections. We made great progress over the past several months of negotiation, and I would like to thank Senator Lummis and Chair Scott for working with me on compromise provisions to ensure all consumers and investors are protected from fraud in digital assets. I regret that those compromises are not fully reflected in the text of today's bill, but I'm hopeful that we can continue to work together on this, especially since the Ag Committee's partisan half of this bill is so weak
exactly
on
what it looks
consumer
like.
protection, and frankly, it's a non-starter for Democrats on the floor. But I do want to echo what my colleague, Senator Van Hollen, and others have said. The president's self-dealing with digital assets is pure corruption, and everyone in this room knows that. Whether his dealings are illegal is a matter of legislation, and that's the work we're engaged in. But there's no doubt that this is pure corruption, and the majority has refused to agree to enforceable guardrails around all elected officials, all of us, including the president and the vice president, to prevent them from profiting from crypto while they're supposed to be serving the public. The public
So here's another
deserves
one.
to know that we're working
Ethics
for them
guy.
and not for ourselves. And the president's insistence on being engaged in
He's
the way
not
that
a
he's
hard no,
engaged
but-
in this whole industry has cast a dark pall on the whole process. And so he should decide whether he wants to get this done or whether he wants to continue to enrich his family. Democrats have made it clear since the beginning of this process that we will not accept a crypto bill that allows the president's crypto corruption to continue. We all agree the digital assets industry needs regulatory clarity, but I cannot support this bill in its current form and will be voting no this morning. I look forward to continuing to work in a bipartisan manner with all of you on a bill that has strong ethical standards with strong consumer and investor protections, and it is in that spirit of good faith compromise that I withdraw my amendment, and I will not seek a vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair or Reverend Dr. Chair. I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you, Senator Dr. Reverend. I will now call up Kim, number 24.
Warnock's out.
Thank you, Chairman. I believe in innovation in financial services, want to harness the opportunity of emerging technologies. And that's
Kim
why
Crowley out.
I did support the Genius Act last year. And I believe that this innovation can be achieved while also working to stop cartels, state sponsors of terrorism, foreign terrorist organizations from exploiting the technology. I worked for years on countering terrorist financing before I came into Congress, and I saw how we can find these types of important balances. And I heard from industry leaders how they don't want their products and tools to be used by terrorist groups, and they don't also said that a one-size-fits-all regulation is not the answer. They also said that frameworks of the past may not be fully applicable to the emerging technologies of tomorrow. To those points, I agree, which is why I'm offering this amendment to modernize the Bank Secrecy Act by adding a new category of financial institutions that would allow us to go after cartels, state sponsors of terrorism, and foreign terrorist organizations that are trying to take advantage of the emerging technologies. At the same time, my amendment preserves innovation and growth for true DeFi, because I know that a one-size-fits-all framework does not work. I support DeFi technology, entrepreneurs, and developers, and I believe that innovation can grow without allowing terrorist resources to grow. So let's meet the moment with a common sense
Smash that
update
like,
to the
everybody.
BSA while continuing to encourage innovation in the
If you want this to
industries
get
here in
passed-
the United States. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this amendment. And with
Hit
that,
the
I'll
like.
yield back.
Thank you. Senator Lemus.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
If you don't want it to pass,
This
don't hit the
amendment's
like.
not needed because the bill in Title II already includes a section that accomplishes
It's crazy how Cynthia has to like correct all of these amendments, like, and just be like, dude, you don't even need this. Like, if you would have read the bill, like, you don't even need to do this amendment, bro.
changes, and it does it in a very precise manner. So I
crazy.
encourage the proponent to check out Title II and also look at Titles 2 and 3 on money laundering and illicit finance. This bill, our bill, I think references the BSA 16 times, and if I counted correctly, and I don't think there's a single reference to BSA in the House passed bill.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
So we're really tying
down in Florida?
BSA into our bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Clerk will call the roll.
That's a target
Chairman?
Nope.
memory.
Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No?
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Moreno? No. Mr. McCormick? No. Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? Aye. Ms. Cortez Masto? Aye. Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Warnock? Aye. Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Gallego? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester? Aye. Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now call up Gallego number 18.
Thanks, brother. I see you, man.
Thank
Senator-
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, ranking member, and thank you for the whole markup. This
is
has
false.
been, to say the least, a very long and difficult process. And
That's
it's been great,
false.
though, working with Senator Lummis, Senator Tillis. Okay, time working with Moreno. To be honest. But we really have spent the better time of last year in countless meetings, long nights, and working through holidays. And really, at its best, the Senate learns together, finds common
These
ground,
aren't
and legislates.
no's.
This is what this process demanded
These
of us,
aren't
and
like
it's
the
not an
final
easy
votes.
bill, as
These
we
are
all
on the
know, and it's
amendments
exactly what we try to do.
that
And after working on Genius Act, and we all remember
A lot of these
that
Democrats are
ordeal,
proposing.
we all learned that solving issues on the front
That's
end
what's
makes
being
for better
voted on
legislation. And we took that
right now.
seriously here, and for
We have to
very,
get
very
through
good
all these
reason.
amendments. There's
What
over
Congress
100.
is attempting to do here is creating regulations for an entirely new sector of our financial system, and it is a massive undertaking. 67 million Americans own digital assets. We owe it to these people, many of whom are young and simply trying to achieve financial independence, to get this right. With 1 in 4 Americans now invested in digital assets, we cannot afford to wait, but we also cannot afford to get this wrong. And that's the balance we are trying to strike. Through serious bipartisan negotiations, we have made incredible progress on this bill. We have narrowed the gap on many of the outstanding issues. We did serious bipartisan work on genuinely difficult questions about regulatory jurisdiction, consumer disclosure requirements, crypto ATMs, and to name a few.
Our amendments almost done. I'll be real with you. It doesn't look like it. How many amendments do you think we've gone through so far? Like 20? I don't know if they're going to go through every single one. I guess they have to. Tim Scott said, like, hey, we only got 2 hours till this thing is over, so we need permission to go over that window. That was like a half hour ago or something like that. So this morning's live stream that started for me might end up being this evening's live stream. Put it that way. This is my question. I don't know. This is the question. Will they get 7 Democrats on their side for the vote if they reject each Democrat amendment? Like, if there's no compromise if we're not giving Democrats anything that they want with these amendments, right? When it does come, even if we get through today, because Republicans are, have the majority basically, when it gets to the Senate floor and we need 7 Democrats to vote, why are they going to vote then? If today they didn't get anything that they want? That's the best question. That is the question. And there's an answer to that I don't know when it comes to these things. Maybe after today's vote, they'll still do some dealings and bring people to the table in some way. But this question is like the question I have too. Half the stuff they want to amend is already in the bill. So that's actually contextually a very good answer, which is to say most of the stuff that these Democrats are saying is like, it's in the bill. It's worked into the bill. Their concerns, or what they're saying is their concerns, don't need to be concerns. It's like they just need to be educated. So, if there's a Senate vote in June or something, can 7 Democrats be educated in terms of what's going on here? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out.
For being put out on the street with an illegal foreclosure. The CFPB is going to be more important than ever if we pass a bill unleashing new crypto scams. My amendment would ensure that the CFPB receives a consistent funding stream that is insulated from the kinds of political games the Trump administration has been playing to undermine consumer financial protection in this country. I urge my colleagues to support Warren 79.
Senator Moreno for rebuttal.
This amendment should not be adopted for one simple reason. The CFPB's budget is clearly out of the scope of this bill. It's absolutely not germane. We voted on quite a few attempted Garcia Review Acts yesterday, and those were all voted down, and I urge my colleagues to do the same with this amendment.
May I have my last 15 seconds that I didn't use?
Sure.
And my 15 seconds are the CFPB was created right here in this committee because of fraud. If we are creating a new opportunity for expanded fraud, we need to make sure that the CFPB is fully funded.
50 seconds up.
The clerk will call the roll.
And I still have 3 seconds.
My goodness.
Chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy? No. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye. Sorry. I was
Mr. Reed?
dazzled by the chairman's comments.
Yeah.
Yay by proxy. I'm still dazzled.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
I should have done an
Ms.
amendment
Cortez
count.
Masto?
I don't know, actually.
Oh, aye by proxy?
Ms. Smith?
That off.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
Stay off the LEDs, everybody.
Mr. Gallego?
LED lights are the worst.
Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
I'm going to object if you change your voice.
That's okay. Yeah. About
This
an
is
hour
not
ago,
the final vote, by the way, everybody. They're just voting on
I
amendments.
received a request from a couple of Democrat members
Many of these
to
votes we
add
want.
5
I know.
amendments to make this a bipartisan outcome, and I've decided to do so.
So, Mr. Chairman, I object here. You cut 16 amendments from the members of this committee. agreed, you said, nope, we got to our numbers and said, these are our numbers. And now, all of a sudden, you have decided to rule back in 3 amendments, I take it from Senator Lummis, that you originally ruled out because it will be more convenient because somebody gets a vote. You just said, as we started this, the rules are the rules. And that you're not going to pick and choose and say, oh, this is going to help that one along, or it's going to help that one along. That you were going to apply the rules across the board. I came in here with one set of rules and understood that that was the case. So if you're now going to rule arbitrarily that you've picked 3 out of the basket to add back in, 3 Republican amendments to add back in, then I think you should rule that all of the amendments are back in. We'd like all of the Democratic amendments back in. And I am particularly looking at Cortez Masto, number 16. This is an amendment that was requested by the National Sheriff's Association.
I have no
that would make
idea
it,
what just
right
happened.
now, the current bill makes it harder for law enforcement to go
What's up,
after
Northern Ireland?
cartels and criminals that are using
appreciate you, man.
decentralized
Thank you so much
platforms to
for being
launder
here.
money. Or how about we do Reed Smith, number 95?
Their stream keeps freezing a little bit.
Vote on. So it seems to me, Mr. Chairman, following the rules you announced at the beginning, either we know all the amendments when we walk in and that's the end of it, or if you're going to start opening that up, let's open it up to everyone, not just 3 amendments on the Republican side.
Actually, the amendment that we just voted on, number 79, was not agreed to as well. We substituted it based on the request of Alston Brooks to allow you to have that amendment, and I did so. And as you said at the beginning of this hearing, that I have the right as the chairman to pick and choose which amendments we wanted, and based on a bipartisan, which I'm not choosing between Republicans and Democrats, I'm actually choosing for Republicans and Democrats to have these final amendments in order.
You know, with respect, Mr. Chairman, you didn't say to me that if Alston Brooks wanted to yield her spot over for me to add another amendment, the consequence would be that Lummis would suddenly get 3 amendments that had been ruled that
Mr.
they
Chair.
would not be held and they would be out of order? I just don't understand this process.
This is a Wikipedia definition of no good deed goes unpunished. These were bipartisan bills. So, Mr. Chair, maybe instead of considering them here today with the ranking member's objections, can we just get an agreement that they'd be baked into a manager's amendment on the floor?
Yes.
All right, now stop arguing. Let's go.
No.
All right. Good. Okay.
I think,
Point of order, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Last
Yeah.
comment on the left. We'll go to closing remarks. Yes.
I would actually prefer, because of the good faith that that Senator Lummis has shown, and I intend to work more on this bill, but I would hope.
I just want to say, take a pause. Nick Morissette is in the house, baby. What's up, Nick? Appreciate you coming through, dude. A lot of no. So I guess I should clear this up. I'm seeing this comment a lot. Because you hear no's being voted and no is winning. These are on the amendments to the text for Clarity Act. It's not the actual vote, so just know that. Right now we're going through like this long process of voting on the text amendments. And the Democrats have proposed many of them. So when you hear, so this isn't the ultimate vote. So just know that. Like if you're hearing no, it's not like that's a bad thing right now.
To do what I think is in America's best interest is to show that when possible, both sides can find a path forward. And in my opinion, finding that path forward requires me to allow Lummis's amendments in because that was a request of Democrat members in order to get to a bipartisan coalition and solution. And so I have made the decision that treating both sides fairly requires me to listen to both sides. And now that there are both sides coming to the table, both asking me to make a decision to allow amendments in, it's incumbent upon me to make the right decision. In my opinion, making the right decision is to allow these amendments in. So we can either do it the way that Tillis has recommended, or we can do it the way that Warner recommended, but at the end of the day.
But let me suggest, obviously, the Democrats have not agreed to this. There may be a Democrat, there may be 3 Democrats.
This comment says, if certain amendments are already in the bill, wouldn't it be smarter for Republicans to vote aye to those, as they have nothing to lose and possibly a vote on the floor to gain when it gets to the Senate? I think the answer to that would be, if you look at the amendments, like broadly speaking, maybe a lot of it is in the bill already, right? And it's, the main concern is maybe addressed, but there's probably a lot of restrictive language that we don't want getting into the bill that's in these amendments too. So that's what my guess would be in terms of a lot of these things.
But I would call it, you are trying to be fair here. Otherwise, you've just said, I'm going to pick the people who I think are going to put together the deal that is the deal you like. It's not the deal I like. And so either we get the same kind of parity, we get the same kind of courtesy afforded each other. We're just asking for 2 amendments. You're getting 3 here. And
Excellent.
let us vote on those 2. I don't know what the harm is of voting. You guys, we get it. You'll probably vote no. But you ought to at least have to hear it.
Actually, I think it's 4 or 5 amendments. But
I'm only asking 2.
I understand. I think the answer is a simple one. Again, about 11:05, we informed your team that there was a bipartisan coalition asking for more amendments that I had taken out. I decided to listen to the bipartisan conversation and come to the conclusion that it was worth moving on. And that is what I'm going to do. And with Senator Warner and other members of your side reinforcing my point, I think the best thing to do is to accept those amendments, hear them, and hear the rebuttals.
I just want to say I'm deeply concerned that law enforcement officials will listen to this and wonder why their point of view couldn't be heard. That community banks will listen to this and wonder why their point of view just couldn't be heard. That's all anyone's asking for. It's 2 minutes in order to get the amendment out, a minute by way of rebuttal, and we're done. But we came in here, lived with the fact that you said, sorry, can't do those, but part of your statement was, and sorry, there are Republican things we can't do as well. So the Democratic position, look, our position should be, it's all of them, but we're willing, I'm just going to say on behalf of my colleagues here, we're willing to settle just for these 2.
And now I'll call up Lummis number 122.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would request a voice vote as opposed to a roll call vote on this.
Seriously.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Chairman, I call up my amendment 122 and ask that page 4, lines 1 and 2 be stricken, and I urge its adoption. These are changes to clarify the circumstances in which a DeFi protocol is decentralized in name only and is actually controlled by a small group of persons. And I want to thank Senator Warner for working with me on this.
Rebuttal?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Look, this amendment makes some technical fixes to Section 301 of the bill. It's hard to fix something that's fundamentally
What is up
broken.
with this?
Section 301 sets a narrow test for what counts as
What's
a
up with
crypto
all these like
intermediary
anti-crypto people?
that few will ever meet. It
feel like
also
I should
incorporates Section
let
604,
free
the
speech
same loophole
thrive.
that shields decentralized
comments.
services from basic anti-money laundering rules, as law enforcement experts have stressed. It doesn't matter if you have rules if nobody has to follow them. The amendment doesn't fix any of those issues, and I urge all my colleagues to oppose this amendment.
I move to strike pages 4, lines 1 and 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I call for a roll call vote.
Had a feeling. Clerk will call the roll. Chairman? Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Am I muting? I don't think
Mrs.
I'm
Britt?
muting the.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
I guess by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask just one parliamentary inquiry? Because I am confused on the process. I understand there were some amendments that were disqualified because of Scrivener's error, and Senator Lummis had some of those, and some of our colleagues had some of those. And I understand the desire to put those back into the mix and have votes. I had amendments that were drawn properly, that were not disqualified at all, including one on anti-touting, Van Hollen 34, and Van Hollen 29 on fair disclosure of information. Those were written exactly right. And so now we're having votes on amendments that you originally declared had not been correctly drafted, and not allowing me and maybe some others to actually vote on amendments that were in order and properly drafted. How does that make sense?
During the Genius Act, we made, we came to a compromise on the number of amendments that we were going to have. It was around 40. I can't remember exactly the number that we had. But ultimately, when the ranking member's side asked for how many amendments we were going to have, I chose the number that we were going to have. I gave our side 5. I gave you all 15. Ranking member chose to work with us to figure out the 15 that you all would have. And ultimately, that's how we got here.
I will just say in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I believe it's unprecedented to kind of cap the number of in-order amendments.
Actually not.
At this kind of level.
It's not unprecedented, number one. Number two, every time we do a vote of Rama, we compromise on the number of amendments that we have. When we did Genius Act, we compromised on the number of amendments we have, and we're doing it again. The clerk will now call the roll on the 18 to 6 it was. What was it?
The last one, 18 to 6.
The lines have been stricken. We will now move to the amendment itself, Lummis number 122.
The chairman?
As modified? As modified?
Yes.
Please call the roll.
The chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment as modified is agreed to. We now call up Lummis number 123. Senator Lummis, you are now recognized. Microphone. Thank you, ma'am.
Asking for a voice vote on 123. Mr. Chairman, Amendment 123 makes bipartisan changes with respect to activities that are permissible for banks and credit unions to engage in digital asset activities. These changes include clarifying the trading activities that banks can do and extending applicability to insured credit unions. I urge adoption and yield back.
Senator Warren is recognized for rebuttal.
This amendment makes some modest improvements to Section 401, the part of the bill that drastically expands the crypto-related activities that taxpayer-insured banks are permitted to engage in. Wow. But this one falls far short. Under this amendment, banks would be able to transact in decentralized finance, lend against crypto as collateral, own crypto directly, trade crypto derivatives, and more. What could possibly go wrong? Why are Republicans trying to divert Americans' deposits away from small business lending and mortgage lending? This just makes no sense. If the bill passes, even with this amendment, the next crypto crash.
Bro. Okay, so I'm going to pause. This is a good time to mute. I saw this comment for Eleanor. I'm just going to go to Eleanor's page. But thanks for the comment. I really appreciate that, because when I'm on this live streams, I'm not like refreshing X very much. But here's what the comment is about. Just like that, Senator Ruben Gallego says he will vote yes today on advancing the Clarity Act to the full Senate, but caveats that his vote here does not translate into a yes vote on the floor. So this is a perfect example of what we were just talking about. What happens today, how does that translate to what happens on the floor? The obviously way more important vote. Everything is, today's important too, but so Ruben over here voting yes today, but saying, hey, let's see what happens, between now and the floor. We have come close, but not finished an agreement on ethics guardrails for all elected officials. But if this is not resolved by the time of the floor, I'm not afraid to vote no. So you can just see, this is going to be the next month. Whenever this, I don't know when it will get to the floor. Suppose it gets through today. When it gets to the floor, maybe mid-June or end of June or something, there's going to be a lot of drama. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth probably. Maybe one day it looks good, and then the next day it doesn't look good anymore. That's probably what the next month is going to look like.
This amendment to my attention, and I urge everyone to support it.
Senator Warren for a rebuttal.
Look, the problem of tokenization is one of the biggest problems with this bill. And the fix that this amendment proposes in Section 505 gives the idea of a fig leaf a bad name. It is so inadequate. This amendment, through a minor improvement on that section.
You know what's crazy? I just want to say this. 2,000 watching, maybe on YouTube. I think there's 16,000 on X. That's interesting. Crypto YouTube is a different picture than Crypto X right now. Crypto YouTube will be back. But I just think that's a crazy gap.
Because Section 505 ostensibly imposes a requirement of regulatory parity between securities and tokenized securities. It would be one thing if the bill left it at that, but it goes on to weaken that already anemic fix by providing that the SEC actually can treat securities like assets differently in light of the unique technological characteristics of crypto consistent with the public interest and protecting investors. While the amendment would instead require the SEC to base its exceptions on the unique characteristics of crypto and whether or not it is in the interest of the public and investors, it does nothing to change the fact that this exception to the requirement of regulatory parity threatens to swallow the entire rule. I urge my colleagues to oppose it.
Clerk will call the roll. Yes.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy?
I'm sorry, do you want to
Haggerty?
hear Elizabeth Warren talk?
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
No.
Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 11 opposed, or 6 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. We now go to Lummis 125. Senator Lummis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I urge adoption of
go,
amendment
Cynthia.
number 125.
Hey
This
now,
amendment
Cynthia.
adds a bipartisan provision to address insider trading for ancillary assets. And I want to thank my colleagues on this committee for the work we all did together to come to an agreement on this amendment. I'm proud of all of us, and I urge support.
Senator Warren for rebuttal.
Well, at face value, this amendment applies existing security laws prohibiting insider trading to crypto assets, and that's a goal I would wholeheartedly support if it were even close to enough to address the issue. But this amendment attempts to use a wine cork to plug a school bus-sized hole that is created in our securities laws by this bill. Look, at its core, the bill provides easier rules for crypto and easy ways for them to escape securities regulation and get to this more lax regulatory environment. Issuers of securities only have to put securities on the blockchain and then self-certify that securities laws don't apply, and the rules start to fall away. So while the amendment calls for ancillary assets to be covered by insider trading prohibitions, it does absolutely nothing to address the fact that the bill has created so many routes for instruments that share all the features of securities not to be considered ancillary assets at all, and therefore to be totally exempt from the securities laws, including the ones addressed by this amendment. So, while I support stamping out insider trading in all its forms, this fix is far from adequate to address the issue, and it gives the public a false sense of security that somehow they're going to be safe from insider trading in crypto, because they will not be safe. The insiders are going to run the game. So I urge my colleagues to vote no.
The clerk will call the roll.
Yeah, this whole thing
Yes.
is about Clarity Act.
Mr.
These are
Crapo?
voting on amendments to the Clarity
Mr. Rounds?
Act. Amendments to the
Mr.
text.
Tillis? Mr.
That's
Kennedy?
what they're doing right now.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Why she gotta yell?
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6
It does
opposed.
seem like when Warren talks,
The amendment
Bitcoin
is
goes
agreed
up.
to. And now I'll call up Lummis 126. Senator Lummis, you are now recognized.
Let's go, Cynthia.
Mr. Chairman, I move amendment number 126 and encourage its adoption. The purpose is to provide investor and consumer protection enforcement. This is bipartisan, to provide for a system of regulation of the offer and sale of digital commodities by the SEC and CFTC. And I encourage and I thank again my colleagues for working on this on a bipartisan basis and urge its adoption.
Ranking Member Warren is recognized for rebuttal.
So I think we should call this one Fig Leaf number 9. This amendment claims to restore state-level consumer and investor protections and the ability of harmed investors to sue, but it is so
Amen,
riddled with
brother.
exceptions and caveats
Appreciate
and
you.
loopholes that it's pretty much meaningless. Now, to be clear, one of the bill's most serious fatal flaws is that it guts state enforcement authority, a point that Senator Cortez Masto has made over and over. And I offered an amendment that comprehensively protected all those authorities, but that amendment was blocked by the chair.
Total crypto
I
market cap
offered
chart.
it because for decades, state securities regulators have acted as frontline cops on the beat in all 50 states, rooting out fraud and scams in markets, particularly in those that affect individuals or small dollar amounts that may not get priority from federal law enforcement. This provides a critical
videos here,
additional layer of enforcement
here,
capacity on
here.
top of federal watchdogs like the SEC
I don't know how
to
you
make
can't be
sure
bullish on
that
crypto.
every individual who is harmed has a
just don't know.
chance of being made whole and that the wrongdoers are held accountable. As the crypto industry has grown, so have the scams. As Donald Trump's federal regulators abdicate any responsibility for holding crypto criminals accountable, these state-level cops are the law-abiding American people's only line of defense. This bill already guts the SEC's ability to protect investors from the worst instances of
more than
fraud,
that, Ryan.
insider trading, and market manipulation. But it also tramples on states' rights, blocking state authorities from enforcing many of their own laws, including those that fight fraud
Love you
and
too.
illegal conduct in these markets.
Really do.
Eliminating these protections and remedies that consumers have already under state law will leave crypto holding
Keep talking,
consumers
Elizabeth.
sitting ducks for fraud and far worse off than they would be
Then Bitcoin
without
to
any
90,000.
crypto market structure bill at all. If this amendment actually did something, I would support it. But it actually does nothing, only fool people to pretend it's doing something. I urge a no vote.
Clerk will call the roll.
The chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo? Aye. Mr. Rounds? Aye. Mr. Tillis? Aye. Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? No. Ms. Cortez Masto? Aye. Ms. Smith? No. Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? No. Mr. Geigo?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. There are no further amendments. The
Mr.
question-
Chair?
No further amendments.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would like to actually offer Reed Smith 95. I know that this amendment has been ruled
out of order?
out of order.
Out of order. There are no further amendments. The question is now on ordering the bill HR 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025.
There it is.
Reported as amended. The clerk will call the roll. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
The clerk will call the
The
roll.
chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo? Aye. Mr. Rounds? Aye. Mr. Tillis? Aye. Mr. Kennedy? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Lummis? Aye. Mrs. Britt? Aye. Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Kramer? Aye. Mr. Moreno? Aye. Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
No.
Mr. Van Hollen? No. Ms. Cortez Masto? No. Ms. Smith? No. Mr. Warnock?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim? No. Mr. Geigo? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 15 in favor and 9 opposed.
The ayes have it. HR 3633 is hereby ordered reported as amended to the full Senate. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make technical and conforming changes, and that the cordon rule be waived. Any objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. Is there any member who would like to give a statement?
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Senator Moreno?
First of all, I want to thank all my colleagues for their hard work on this. I think there's still some work to be done. Section 301 specifically, I think we need to work on to make that even better. But specifically, I just want to call out my two staffers, Sophia and Lindsay, for the hard work that they put in. And I'm sure all of you have Sophia's and Lindsay that I think we need to give them a unanimous round of applause for their hard work.
Mr. Chair?
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Good.
Senator
Sorry,
Alston
I'm
Brooks?
trying to get a
I'd like to
post
say a
out on
few
X.
words on the bill. The digital revolution is upon us, and it has presented a clear opportunity to support small businesses, generate wealth, and I believe
Good job,
spur
everybody.
innovation.
That was
And the
nowhere
truth
near
is,
as long
this
as I
digital
thought.
revolution is happening with us or without us. Whether or not we regulate it to create the rules of the road or not, it is here. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she and her peers have made it abundantly clear to me that they are interested in this innovation, that they believe that the digital revolution is important, and they want not only to be able to participate in it safely, but they want what every American wants: true and growing economic opportunity, the opportunity to become wealthy, to have generational wealth. And so that is why I am at the table. I've been in negotiations for over 9 months, working toward regulating digital assets in a way that protects consumers and reduces the risk of deposit flight while still allowing innovation to happen. I have negotiated in good faith with colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I want to thank them so much for all of their hard work. And in recognition of that good faith, I have voted yes to advance the bill today. Now, I want to be abundantly clear. My vote today is a vote to keep working in good faith. It does not mean that I'll be voting for the passage of the Clarity Act on the floor, because we still have so much work to do.
All these Democrats
I'm
are not
aware that we
committing.
need to find a workable way to address law enforcement's concerns about financial crimes.
Clarity
I'm a
Act
former
is passed.
prosecutor, and I
The
know
markup.
how important this is. We
2
also
hours
need to
in.
incorporate an ethics agreement that would apply not only to the president and vice president, but to all of us. The American people, especially my constituents, expect that from us. And we need to work with our colleagues on the Agriculture Committee on their product, which still needs work. I'll keep working with my colleagues to get this done. Americans from every background and every community deserve to benefit financially from this digital revolution and to be protected from the risks that come with it. If we don't act, we'll get left behind, and I simply will not let that happen. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
I think Senator Hagerty is next, and then Senator Tillis. Or Senator Britt, and then Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies
Thank you for
first.
being here.
Senator
Thank
Hagerty,
you for
please
watching.
proceed.
Okay.
Then ladies first. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. This bill creates a market structure framework for digital assets. It's going to supercharge innovation here in America. We've been long awaiting this. Less
right,
than a
baby.
year ago, this committee advanced the Genius Act, and it has promoted a tremendous world-leading regulatory framework for stablecoins. The act that we're going to pass today promises to do the same thing for all digital assets. And I want to thank you, Chairman Scott, for your leadership and for your commitment to me to work on technical fixes to the Genius Act that we have bipartisan
can
agreement
crash.
on. And I want to thank Senator Alsobrooks, Senator Warner, and Senator Moreno for working with me on this bipartisan fix, and look forward to getting that implemented in the next iteration of this bill. Thank you.
Senator Britt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your leadership on this and everyone who took so much time and energy to help get this where it is today, in particular, Senator Lummis. You have put heart and soul into this, countless hours, because you want to make sure that we innovate here on our shores. You want to make sure that each and every person has the opportunity that they wouldn't otherwise, and it has been an honor to work with you on this and to watch you lead. In particular as well, Senator Tillis and Senator Alsobrooks, thank you for your tireless advocacy to make sure that we got this right. I do hope that this committee continues to look at ways that we can provide relief for community banks. There are a number of places where we have seen overburdensome regulations, things that were not intended to apply to a certain group, and
Clarity
we
Act
know
has
that they're the
passed the
lifeblood
markup.
of our main
Now it
streets
needs
and
to
our
go to
small
Senate
towns.
floor.
And so I hope that we continue to look at that and look for
Hopefully in
ways to work
June.
together, even on this piece of legislation. In
That's the
particular,
big
Senator
vote.
Cruz and I have a piece of legislation, the Community Bank Relief Act. We know when the Durbin Amendment was passed in 2010 that it ultimately, there were about 7,500 community banks that were exempt during that time, and now today there are at least, or fewer than 4,500. So I think there are several entities there that were never intended to be burdened by that regulation, and I think we should fix it. That's one example of things that we can do to make sure that we're looking at the entire ecosystem, and I hope as we move forward that we'll be committed to doing just that. But thank you for your work, and look forward to seeing this through.
Senator Tillis and then Senator Blunt Rochester.
Very, very briefly, I just wanted to associate myself with the comments made by Senator Gallego earlier about the work that we have to do. And with respect to what Senator Alsobrooks just discussed, we're going to keep the same spirit of negotiations going that we have up to this point. I want to thank Senator Lummis because she and her staff, who deserves a long weekend, they all do, but especially Chris. They thank them for their hard work. But I also want to talk to the stakeholders out here. You know, people know that I'm in disagreement with some of the banking community, but I've been with them before. I'm going to be with them again, and I'm willing to listen to ways that we can make this bill better as it moves forward. But we really must move forward. So, to the stakeholders who are satisfied with the bill, great. To the ones who want more work, you have my commitment to continue to treat you in the same professional manner that I've requested of my staff all along the way. And Mr. Chair, thank you for your patience, and thank you for your leadership in getting this mark done.
Senator Blunt Rochester.
Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, and to all of the members of the committee, and to all of our staff who have spent countless hours, even through holidays, to work on this. That is because it is so consequential to our country and our economy. And because it's so consequential, it is important to get it right. For my state of Delaware, we have more crypto ATMs per capita than any other state. We've had the AARP come in. While they support the provision that was in it, they haven't put out a statement that they support the whole bill because there are still concerns. My community banks, I am concerned still. Insider trading was one of the things that, for me, people could understand. And in this environment, there is a lot of concern. And so what I hope, and while I am, again, grateful to the group that has worked very hard and tirelessly, after the Genius Act, for me, I can't take a handshake. I want the work to happen in committee. And a part that was really missing were hearings. There were a lot of members of this committee who said to me, I don't understand what this
Clarity
is.
Act gets through the markup.
If we don't understand it,
advancing
how can
to
we
Senate
legislate?
floor.
And so as we move forward, I appreciate the good faith efforts. And I think we still have work to do. And I look forward to working with all of my colleagues.
The Clarity Act advancing
but
to Senate
particularly
floor.
on behalf of the American people, because this is too big for us to fail.
Appreciate you.
I yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you
Senator
for watching.
Lummis, comments?
I just want to add my thanks, Mr. Chairman, to you.
Let's go back at
to everyone on
78,000.
our side of the aisle who's worked so hard, to those of you on the other
In
side
just a moment, I'm gonna
that
look
have
at the
worked
charts,
so hard,
talk
and
about
to a
that.
lot of the people that have informed the decision-making that's involved in this bill. Particular thanks to the folks from Treasury and Patrick Witt from the White House. Honestly, without their involvement, I don't think we could have gotten as much done. The agencies went from offering technical assistance to really rolling up their sleeves and helping with this bill. And our staffs, particularly Chris Land, my staffer, I can't say enough about your dedication to this. As I've said to Chris many times, we're the dogs that caught the tire. And it kept spinning and our heads kept beating against the pavement, but we can't let go because we caught the tire. And we're not going to let go of the tire until people on both sides of the aisle are satisfied that this is a product we can all be proud of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Let me just finally say this process has been one of the most informative and challenging processes I've been through as a United States Senator. I will also say that it has been one of the most transparent times and processes I've seen, with members on both sides of the aisle and industry all in the same room at the same time for hours upon hours upon hours.
Maybe in June.
Any suggestion that somehow this was done without a process that was available to all members, undeniably, factually, patently false. I will say that the
Agreed.
members Gallego, also Brooks, Warner, CCM, Catherine, as well as Britt, Rounds, Lummis, Tillis, and Moreno, the number of hours that you all spent talking to each other and
advancing
getting to know
to
each
the
other
Senate.
better
Not today.
is unbelievable. How Gallego and Moreno continue to talk is a shock to me, but truly,
got through today, though.
truly all things are possible. Colombians, both of them, that's what, thank God for that part. I also want to acknowledge the fact that Senator Gallego worked with Patrick Witt from the White House, tons and tons of hours trying to thread a needle.
Yeah, we need
and
7
I will
Dems.
say that without Patrick and the White House engaging with Democrats,
Whenever it gets to the Senate
this
floor.
first step, it's not
Maybe
even
in
the
June.
last step, this first step would not have been accomplished in a bipartisan fashion. Without Ryan and Trey, Williams, excuse me, Tyler, there you are, looking for you over there, working together with our staff, it would not have been possible to find ourselves where we are today. And I want to thank all staff, but particularly Janie and my staff, for their profound impact on this process. You all have worked, I know for sure, thousands of hours over the last few months just on this piece of legislation. And at 1:30 last night and at 4 a.m. this morning, I was still getting texts from you all and responding at 4 in my heart. 5 for real. But literally, this process has been one that has been, I think, quite educational. And I hope that we have a successful process on the floor. But I know one thing for sure, that when you all say you're going to continue to work on it, you mean it. And Warner, once again, thank you for your dedication through some challenging times. You kept working. And may the Lord bless your family with the challenges. And CCM, I've gotten to know you a lot better. Appreciate you. I know we don't always get to the final point, but we're going to get there at some point. And thank you for your hard work and staying the course, no matter how you vote on the floor. With that, meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned, everybody, just like that. At least we got through today. The markup. Senate Banking Committee markup. Clarity Act has passed through. So now we go to advance to the Senate floor, where as of now, it's looking like we need 7 Democrats to come over when it comes to that vote. Eleanor posting just a little bit ago in terms of having currently 2 Democrats voting today in favor of the Clarity Act passing through. That's a good start. I don't know what's going to happen between now and when it gets to the floor. I think the speculation is in June, and they're trying to pass this and get signed by Trump by July 4th. I don't know what this is going to look like, but that's kind of where we are right now. Today was something to get through, and we got through it. So that's like kind of a big deal, I would say. And now here we are. You can see, I do want to talk about price a little bit. I think it is kind of important. I want to definitely thank everybody. We've got over 20,000 people on the live stream today in a bear market for this Clarity Act passing through. So I want to thank each and every one of you for just being here through these times. And I want to talk about price action from two perspectives, in case you're interested, now that the clarity has gotten through the markup. When I think about the meaning of Clarity Act, a lot of people say it doesn't matter, it doesn't change anything. What the Clarity Act does for US is unlocks a lot of innovation to happen from a standpoint that it's not been able to happen. Okay? That is very meaningful on this chart. This is a zoomed out weekly chart, and this is Bitcoin, but you can look at this zoomed out on the total crypto market cap chart. Innovation flooding into the crypto space when it's just sitting over as a whole $2 trillion, less than $3 trillion. Innovation being unlocked, that's a big deal. Capital and trillions of dollars that have forcibly been sidelined, being unlocked and allowed to enter the crypto space at the confluence of that innovation plays into this chart. This has been my view. This has been my macro view. I've been doing videos since back here on this chart. You know, these bear market lows, these bear market environments on this chart. I say things like we're entering a new era for crypto, and that sounds very clickbaity, or dramatized or romanticized, but we actually are entering a new era for crypto, and it's because of things like the Clarity Act. So I want to make that point because this is the chart. I'm a macro investor. These are the things. This is a chart that's way more on my mind than something like this chart, right? And it's on my mind, right? I like tracking technical analysis, price action in the short term. To me, it gets so frustrating, especially when we have things like massive macro events like Clarity, and we're like, here we go. Like, what's going to happen? We're on an hourly chart. Green candles. Is the bull market starting? Look at this. Clarity Act on the zoomed out is a very meaningful thing for the growth of the crypto space. But it is 100%, it's a macro event. When it comes to the shorter term, if I go to Bitcoin chart, just to give you a sense, my thought at this point, after doing years of analysis in this space and covering years of events, the events mean something. They really do. And that's why I make a big deal out of them, especially something like Clarity Act. But on the short term, what I've seen is oftentimes the events do one of two things. And this is why I like to be careful, especially on days like now. Bitcoin's crossing 82,000. And it's this. Option one is it's just such a good opportunity for market makers, for manipulators to just have some fun, right? This is why I think so often you'll see good news come out for crypto over the years, not just like recently, but just over the years, over the cycles. You see good news, and oftentimes maybe you get a quick pump, and then boom, all of a sudden price is crashing. And you're like, how could that be? That was just really good news. Crypto should be going up. And it just seems like what happens is, and this is something we can monitor even right now, especially because we are at a key technical analysis area of resistance, the event can fuel a short-term pump, and longs are just positioned very well to get liquidated, and then they get liquidated. This could be a headline of tomorrow or in 2 days from now, right? Think about this. Clarity Act passes. That's so bullish. Longs start positioning. Makes sense that they would do so, right? Because it is bullish for crypto. And then all of a sudden the longs are liquidated, within hours, because there was rejection here, and just because that's what happens so often when it comes to these things. Option two, and I do say this over the years often, because a lot of people do say news doesn't matter. News matters. And the context in which it matters for me as I do my analysis is oftentimes a news event could trigger a technical confirmation, bullish confirmation, bearish confirmation, and it really can trigger some type of structural move. So interestingly enough, Bitcoin is at this moment where, from a technical analysis perspective, I've been watching this confluence of this yellow trend line of this channel that Bitcoin is in, confluence with that 200-day moving average now, right? So now we have actually a major event in this daily candle. I'm talking about, for crypto, a very major event. This isn't Clarity Act getting passed, because that's not what happened. It got through the Senate Banking Committee today. It got through the markup today, but it needs to go to the floor. This isn't Trump signing Clarity Act into law, so keep that in mind. But it's a big deal. It's a big stepping stone. And with that being said, Bitcoin's sitting at technical resistance. So maybe, just maybe, we have Clarity Act coming into play, the headline of the day, as Bitcoin's at resistance, and it actually gets Bitcoin above this resistance area. That will have triggered a structural move. That's very important in technical analysis, no matter what's going on. So with that being said, that's important, right? The reason being, because I don't know how many people, if you were on X, especially in the month of April, this setup was the setup for, April was supposed to be down. Let's just put it that way. And that did not happen. April was not down. April was up. And I'm not saying that this setup won't end up being bearish, right? We've not broken out. Maybe it's the rest of May and into June is going to be all down and we break to the downside. We're in the 60s. Be prepared for that scenario. But one thing I am saying is, back here, this setup was exactly like this setup, and we were about to fall down and it didn't happen. Now, we might get an opposite confirmation, a bullish confirmation, if Bitcoin can break above this area. But just notice the resistance and be very careful of it right now, especially because of the Clarity Act news. It looks like such a good time to potentially go long, right? And you might see a lot of leverage longs right now getting into position. And guess what? It's a great time to liquidate them, potentially. So be careful for that, is what I'm saying. And at the end of the day, for me, what is important is the zoomed out. It's the macro view. If you go to something like Bitcoin on the weekly, I want to point this out to you because maybe some of you are more interested in the macro than the short term, similar to how I am. But this move in general already is starting to look good in the sense of it's absolutely not this move. You can't just look at a chart and structure and just say same exact structure, same exact time, same exact move. 20 was just falling below the 50 back here. We were seeing resistance into the 20 and 50 at that move. That's a very nice setup for continuation to the downside. Right now, we've crossed above the 20, this green moving average, a 20 moving average on the weekly. And we've actually also broken out of this blue trend line that you see here from the all-time high, swing high. It's been lower highs. We've broken out of that trend. That's a big deal. So we've broken out of that trend. We're above the 20-week. These are good reversal scenarios. And that is not to say that Bitcoin can't retest that blue line and we're back into the $70,000 range in 2 weeks, because it can. But this is what we want to see on a macro reversal. It's just this slow turnaround of the 20, and there can be volatility in that move. The reason why I think it's very important is because Bitcoin has had similar structural setups before, right? Back here, and I've covered this, right? That breakout was a reversal out of the bear market lows. This breakout right here from that blue trend line, out of that structured move, that was Bitcoin kind of exiting this multi-month consolidation that it was in. So there's a nice momentum shift potentially happening on the Bitcoin charts. And also, same thing on the regular, you can go to altcoin or total crypto market cap chart. You can go here, altcoin market cap on the daily. This is altcoins. This is everything excluding Bitcoin, sitting around $1 trillion. You can just see that there is a potential for a reversal happening right here after just complete downside since October. If you change this to a weekly chart, you can just see the support at the 200-week moving average that we had held since February. Let's continue to see if that continues to hold, how long we consolidate in this range down here. But right now, this chart testing just above the 20-week moving average. These are the things that we want to see. But there can be volatility on the shorter term in relation to that. This is me doing technical analysis, strictly price action. It's not what gets me bullish. What gets me bullish alongside this analysis of, you know what, dude, this got very oversold. This is where bear market lows happen. Yes, technical analysis. What gets me bullish is all the headlines that we're seeing. I just saw this one. Xi Jinping just told Trump to his face, China and the United States both stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. We should be partners, not rivals. As Trump is bringing all of these executives from these massive corporations to China for this meeting, I think people are underestimating the economic boom. And this has been such an unpopular thing for me to stand by throughout this year. Even while discussing the post-quantitative tightening dip that we should anticipate, which here's quantitative tightening ending back in December. We got that dip. I've had this macro bull view that we've not even seen the crypto bull market yet. We've been in a bear market this entire time. And we are about to see an economic boom, a productivity boom happen. Here's an S&P 500 chart. So you consider the technical analysis I just did as crypto sitting oversold. You consider Clarity Act coming into play, but you consider if crypto is doing these things in an environment where we are potentially in a mid-90s style chart on the S&P 500, and we have a massive boom, productivity boom in store. And I'm not saying there's 5 years left of the bull market for S&P 500. I just think there's way more upside to this chart than people think. I think a lot of people think it's game over and we're just gonna, it's topped out. I don't think that. I think we're gonna see a 90s style economic boom. And that would also make sense because we've been in contraction on the PMI chart for years. If this goes into productivity boom and expansion, S&P 500 probably going to do pretty well. Russell 2000 going to probably go deep into price discovery. And crypto, I think, will have its bull market. This will come with a ton of volatility. I'm talking probably major crashes on the S&P 500. For me, that is not to say that's it. The top was in and it's multi-year depression. This happened in the 90s. Big corrections in this growth, right? In this growth stage that happened for years. So when you take that and you bring into play Warsh, Kevin Warsh just, confirmed as Fed chair tomorrow, I guess is his first day. Listen to what he's saying.
For a minute, if I were the president, what I'd be worried about is a central bank that doesn't see any of that. A central bank that is stuck with models from 1978, governance from a prior period, and don't recognize we could be at the front end of a productivity boom. And if I were the president, I'd be worried that they might not see it. And they might think economic growth is somehow going to be inflationary. I think we were probably in the early innings of a structural decline in prices. Ken sees it on the front lines of real businesses. And I think if you look over the period of the next year or two, it's a pretty special moment. What we call AI in a couple of years.
That's pretty crazy right there. That's the confirmed Fed chair talking about a productivity boom. Wants to reevaluate how the Fed looks at inflation in general. A guy that can cut interest rates while shrinking the Fed balance sheet. This is just something I just don't think people are considering in terms of the growth of markets as well as mainly crypto. I saw this comment. I think it's just good. I've been thinking about inviting Ben on the channel. He crashed a live stream not that long ago, if you remember, but Ben Cohen says, still haven't found the bottom. I trust Ben, LOL. And I respect Ben's analysis a lot. And I respect what he says. I obviously disagree with so much of probably his macro view, I would say, and his view on in terms of what's going on. And what does the bottom look like? What does the bottom look like? Because a lot of the bears were saying April was going to go lower, and April did the exact opposite, right? So could the bottom have looked like in April like this? Is this what was supposed to happen? The opposite happened. Will the bottom look like sideways and fake outs and a higher low in July in the 60s? Is that reason to be bearish right now? Those are the questions I have. Especially as we are at the confluence of macroeconomic data that I think plays heavily into what happens with crypto cycles. So for me, what was interesting and what I feel like I tracked very well on this channel was December 1st, quantitative tightening ended. I said, be prepared for the post-quantitative tightening normalization dip. We got it. The same exact thing happened back here, 2019, post-quantitative tightening normalization dip. We got it. But in this environment, were we going to go lower for longer? Like, was the bear market low not in? That's the question. Obviously, there's COVID. And I just think we're obviously structurally putting in a bottom, and we're trying to find that momentum shift on the macro. Like if you go back to the weekly, we're trying to find what that looks like. And so is the bottom in here? Are we going to put in a higher low? Are we going to retest the bottom from back here in January, February? I don't know. But what I do know is the time to be bearish, if you wanted to be, was here. The time for the bear market calls was there. And I don't recall really seeing anybody at that moment doing that. The time, in my opinion, as all of these other macro indicators and things are happening to be bullish is now, right? Oversold in an area where we've been oversold in previous bear market lows on the Bitcoin chart. So that's what I want to say in that regard. And everybody's going to have different opinions on what this looks like. But what I will say is, I think, again, to really bring this together, the Clarity Act passing through the Senate Banking Committee today, not passing, by the way, this isn't got through the Senate vote today. It's going on to advance to the Senate. It's a good first step for this picture, the macro picture for crypto. If you think, if part of your thesis like mine is crypto will continue to grow, and if you want that to happen, and if you want valuation to grow with it, Clarity Act is important. Clarity Act is meaningful, but that's a macro thing. And what happens on the shorter term, if we look at a daily chart, be very careful. Be very careful, especially when something like this is happening at a resistance area. So be careful for resistance right now. The confluence of this trend line and the 200-day is very beautiful resistance. And I did a video yesterday talking about support areas. Maybe we consolidate between the 20 at 79, the 50 down here at 74, and then we give it another go to the upside. Maybe all that support fails, and we're actually back at the lower trend line, and the bears are excited, and the bear market callers are excited about an October bottom once again. We have to monitor and evaluate. Be, I would say, mindful of all of these situations. If we get a breakout on Bitcoin above this confluent resistance, that would be interesting, and that will make for a probably good just 10-minute analysis video to talk about what could be next. But I'm continuing to wait for that confirmation, which we've obviously have not gotten yet. If anything, we've gotten more resistance and bear confirmation on the shorter term at this resistance. So those are my thoughts, everybody. I'm just kind of bringing it to you. I'm bullish on crypto, even in discussing the post-quantitative tightening dip since December that I thought was very much in play, and the prospects of this actually happening. I was bullish on crypto, and that's what gets me in trouble. A lot of people are just, I don't think they understand how my mind works in that regard, but it's mainly because I'm zoomed out. I'm interested in these cycles, and that's why, why I am that way. I'm interested in cycle trading. And so crypto just looking very bullish. So there it is, everybody. 22,000, almost 3 hours in. Clarity Act makes it through the Senate Banking Committee on its way to the Senate floor. Let's see what happens. I appreciate all of you out there. I will see you all in the next video. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. If you're a subscriber, don't have notifications on, turn notifications on. I found out so many don't have notifications on. It helps the channel so much, so I would appreciate your support. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you all in the next video. God bless.